Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. Of course, I'm so glad to have you here, and I can't wait to share these 3 really awesome 30-minute weeknight meals with you. These meals are nice and quick. I know school is going to be starting up right around the corner, and I know you're going to be looking for some quick and easy meals. All 3 of these are homemade and delicious, so let's go ahead and get started and I will show you how to make them. First up today, we're going to make some homemade ham and cheese pockets. First of all, you'll need to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. And you'll also be needing about 1 pound of pizza dough, whether you make it homemade, get it from the store already pre-made, you can buy it like that, or use the canned pizza dough, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. Next, you'll go ahead and take that dough and divide it equally into 6 pieces. Now you can go ahead and just take one piece and stretch it out into a circle. If you're using canned pizza dough and yours is more of a rectangle and you cut it and now they're kind of in squares, then just try to stretch it out the best you can. You can make it into more of a triangle or square shape, that's fine. Just make sure you stretch it out enough to where you can add some filling inside. Now into 1/2 of this, I'm going to add half a slice of mild cheddar with a pinch of shredded mozzarella cheese. Then you'll go ahead and add some ham. I believe this was honey ham. You can just add a couple slices in there. And then I actually forgot to add that other slice of cheese in there, but you'll go ahead and take that other half of the mild cheddar and put it on top of the ham. Once everything's in, you'll go ahead and just fold over the top half to the other side and then just try to pinch the edges together. I then took a fork and then mashed it down just a little bit more to make sure everything was sealed up nice and tight. In total, this does make 6 little pockets. However, you can only fit 4 on a baking sheet because they do expand a bit. Over top of each one, you'll just want to take 1 beaten egg and cover the tops. Last but not least, you will take a nice sharp knife and add 3 little slits to the top. This will act as a vent and help them cook a little bit more evenly. Now you can go ahead and add these into your oven. I personally let mine bake for right around 12 minutes so that they were done, but not overly browned. The bake time will definitely vary for these depending on what kind of dough you're using. So make sure you follow the package directions if it does say that. If not, I would go for about 10 minutes and then see where it is. You might have to add a couple minutes like I did. Like I said, I think I did about 12 to 13 minutes for these. But overall, they turned out perfect. And I went ahead and just made a little bit of macaroni and cheese and sliced up some fresh strawberries on the side. Next up, we're making these fantastic breaded pork chops. To begin with this one, you'll need to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Now over here to my cutting board, I have 4 pork chops. I would say these are probably about medium thickness. Then lightly over both sides, you'll go ahead and just sprinkle it with some salt and pepper. Next, I'm setting up just a little station here for the breading. So over here in this first container, you will need a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Then over here in the far right container, I'm adding a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs, just plain breadcrumbs, with 1/4 of a cup of panko breadcrumbs, 2 to 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese, with 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper. And then of course here in the center you will need 1 beaten egg. One at a time, you're going to take your pork chops and dip them in the flour. Make sure you cover those on all sides and kind of pat it down to make sure that the flour is really on there. Then you'll transfer it over to your egg and make sure to cover that again on both sides very well. Shake off any excess and then add it over into your breadcrumb mixture. For the breadcrumbs, just make sure again you are pressing down on the pork chop, really making sure that those breadcrumbs stick to all parts of the pork chop. Repeat with all of your pork chops, and then we're going to move over here to my cast iron skillet. Into my skillet, I'm adding about a tablespoon of butter along with about a tablespoon to maybe 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. I'm going to let that melt and get nice and hot in there, and then we're going to add in all 4 pork chops. This skillet is 12 or 13 inches, so it's nice and big. If your pork chops won't all fit in here very well, you can make them in batches, but you definitely want to use a pan that is oven safe. Let these cook for about 3-ish minutes on this one side, and then we're going to flip them over. After getting them flipped over, then you are going to transfer this into your oven and let it bake for about 3 to 5 minutes. This is really just going to depend on how thick your pork chops are, so you may have to adjust your time a bit. I usually like to aim for my pork chops to be about 140 to 145 degrees when they're done. Next, I thought I'd show you a side dish that I have been really loving lately. So to begin with this one, you are just going to slice up 1 yellow squash, or you could use a zucchini, it's up to you. I'm slicing these just into little discs, and then I'm going to slice the bigger ones in half one more time. Moving over to this little cast iron, this one I believe is about 10 inches. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of butter and just a little bit of avocado oil in there. Once it's nice and hot, I'm going to add in the squash and then sprinkle it with about a teaspoon of this all-purpose seasoning. I will have it linked below. It has very quickly become one of my favorites. I'm also adding just a dash of garlic powder, pepper, and salt. After getting those all mixed together, this part is a little bit tedious, but it really does make them so good. I'm going to take the time to make sure all of these are flat in this pan. Once they're flat, I'm not going to move them. I'm going to cook them over a medium-high heat for about 5-ish minutes or so, just until I notice that the bottoms of them are getting a dark crust over them. Once you see that really pretty dark color on there, go ahead and give them a mix, and then once again I'm going to make sure they're all flipped flat on the opposite side, that way the other side can get nice and dark as well. Give this another 3 to 5 minutes and those will be done. Here's what the pork chops looked like coming straight out of the oven. They have some really nice crust on them at this point. And then here's what my plate looked like in the end. As you can see, that pork chop there, it was so good. These probably are my favorite pork chops I've made yet. And then you can see the squash back there. And I also went ahead and made some corn on the cob. I like to cut mine off of the cob. And I also made some butter and herb rice there on the side. And now finally, we're going to make these mushroom and onion hamburger steaks. For this one, into this bowl, I'm going to add 1 pound of ground beef. Then you'll add in 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. Next, add 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, a ½ teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Now go ahead and get that all mixed together. You're just kind of making these how you would a burger. We're going to get this combined and then patty it up into 4 separate patties that are all about the same size. Next, we're going to take 1 yellow onion and just slice that onion up along with about 4 ounces of mushrooms. I hate the texture of mushroom stems, so I take the stems out and then I slice the mushroom tops. Moving over here to my stovetop, I have about 1 tablespoon of avocado oil in my pan. Once it was nice and hot, I added in my mushroom and onion and then gave them a light sprinkle of salt and pepper. Let these cook on here for about 8 to 10 minutes until they are nice and tender. Once they're done, go ahead and remove them into a separate bowl for right now, and then in the same skillet, I'm going to add just a little bit more avocado oil, maybe 1 to 2 more tablespoons. And then once it's hot, go ahead and add in all 4 patties. I cooked these for about 4-ish minutes per side over a medium heat, but you can cook them to whatever doneness you prefer. Once I had them where I wanted them, I went ahead and added on my mushroom and onion over the top. And then finally, we're going to add some Monterey Jack cheese, and I definitely recommend doing some freshly shredded cheese. It melts way better and just makes this recipe overall much better in the end. I went ahead and just stuck this in the oven for like 2 minutes, just enough to melt the cheese in the end, but you really don't need to do that. You could just add a lid on here and let it melt, or just let it melt with the heat that's already in the patties. This is what it should look like in the pan before serving, but once you have it on your plate, it should look something like this. Of course, if you want to, you could eat these with a bun. However, we kept it without the bun on this night and just kept them as hamburger steaks. These were really flavorful, and I love me some mushroom and onion on there. That turned out so good like that. On the side, I just decided to slice up a cucumber and make a couple potato wedges on the side with some chipotle sauce. I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. I'm so glad to have you here, of course. If you did make it all the way to the end of today's video, don't forget to leave me a flower down in the comments below to let me know that you did. And I will see you back here next Sunday for a new video. Bye!